In this short recording, I'll provide an overview of my 6190 project from fall of 2012 and talk a little about the development tools used to create the site. So I chose to create a website with the purpose of providing information about Web 2.0 tools that might be of use to teachers. And I work with teachers on issues related to instruction and instructional technology. So this project was an opportunity to directly connect my work in the LDT program with the work I do at UGA, which is something I try to do frequently because I feel that that makes the learning experience in this program that much more meaningful for me. So coming into this course in the fall, to a great extent, I was starting with very little experience in web development. So I was really starting from scratch in terms of learning how to use the tools I used to build the page, which were Adobe Dreamweaver and Adobe Captivate. And I want to talk a little about those tools, but first I'll navigate around a little to show you the site. So you have on the main page here, just basically the title, which is Web Tools for Teachers, and directions to select from the category of tools uh, in the navigation bar at the top. And so basically I had four sets of tools here: presentation tools, capture, screen capture, polling, and blogs and wikis. So if you click on one of these categories, you get a submenu, and then if you click a link in the submenu, you get a presentation uh, basically with information about how to use this product. And so that includes, a brief overview uh, of how the product works, and then each of them also includes a tutorial screencast on how to get started using it. And so for each category, uh, I created at least one example of a tool that they could use in their classes. Um, so that's the basic idea of the site. As far as the tools used to construct the site go, I used Adobe Captivate to build the presentations that appear in the middle of the page. And we can take a look here so you can see the design view for one of those presentations. And honestly, I chose Captivate primarily because I wanted experience with that tool specifically. I think there's an interesting balance to be had in this course between developing a project that is meaningful to you regardless of what tool it requires, and choosing to work with specific tools because you want to build skills and familiarity with that product. And you see Captivate on lots of instructional design job descriptions, and so I was interested to work with it. But that aside, a great thing about Captivate, probably its primary strength, I think, is that you can use it to make content web ready very quickly. So without having to write any code or do anything particularly complicated, you can use Captivate to package multimedia, including audio, video, and text, so that you can get it to your audience pretty easily. Now that said, I'd also like to note that if you dive into Captivate's advanced features, you most definitely can leverage the tool to do some really creative and more complicated things. So again, basically, I use this tool to create the primary content for the site that I made, those presentations that you saw in the middle of the screen. Now, the tool that I used to create the website itself was Dreamweaver. Now, if Captivate is a tool that is relatively easy for a new user to grab hold of and develop something quickly in, Dreamweaver is probably the opposite of that. But I definitely don't say that to scare anyone away from it, because it was really a great and I think important experience for me to use this course to get an opportunity to scratch the surface of web design using Dreamweaver. Uh, I think content management sites like WordPress, for instance, are great, and I may even work with one of those types of tools this semester, but Dreamweaver is a standard of the professional web design world, and I think working with it will force you to build at least a basic understanding of some fundamental concepts of web design that you won't get an opportunity to do if you use a site like, say, WordPress. And I would say that a few of those fundamental concepts are working some directly with code for your site, um, which you can see here if I go into a split view. Also, another huge experience I think you get from working with Dreamweaver is the ability to work with CSS to control the style of your pages. Um, so without going into much detail about that here, if you click on certain elements in your page, then you can control uh, the style of those elements using the CSS, altering the CSS code for the page here. And also just getting a thorough understanding of file management for building websites is important, and Dreamweaver allows you to do that as well. So you see here, you have to manage the file on your local computer as well as out on your website. So that's an overview of my project and the tools I used to create it. Overall, I was very satisfied with the 6190 experience from the perspective of thinking deeply about design and building some new skills with development tools. Looking back at the site itself, I think there's a lot of things I would change now. One of them is that I finished the project from the perspective of what I wanted to complete in the course itself, but the site really remains unfinished because I haven't added anything to it since last fall. So one piece of advice I have is to try to narrow the focus of your project and finish with something that's truly complete in the context of the course. So I hope that this has been helpful, and good luck with the semester.